What's going on, guys? Welcome to the early Week 3 slate review in the NFL. Did this last week, but uploaded on a Wednesday. I'm now recording this on Monday nights, so I'm watching the Monday Night Football game here in front of me while I record this for you guys. It will be uploaded Tuesday morning, so we're going to get these lines nice and early, although I will say some of these lines have already moved. I've been watching them all day, and they're moving across key numbers, so we got to start talking about some of these games. If you guys are interested, I did already release a 3-unit play in the NFL for Week 3, a 2-unit play in the NFL, and a 2-unit college football play. If you're interested in any of my official plays, I will link you options down in the description, like deals, sales, coupon codes, all that stuff will be down there. All right, now let's get to it. So Thursday Night Football, we start off with the Patriots taking on the Jets. The Pats are getting 6.5 points here as a road dog. Totals at 37.5. This is actually the Jets' home opener. They started off with two games on the road. Kind of tough spots. They did a nice job against Tennessee yesterday, although that game was never fully put away. It was in jeopardy. But still, nonetheless, get the win. They're now 1-1. The Patriots also 1-1 coming into this game, but man, their games have looked quite different than the Jets games have. They have been super competitive in these games, completely to my surprise. Though they were going to be an awful team, very competitive, running the ball really well, playing great defense. That is not a good thing for the Jets. You see the helmet behind me. I am a Jets fan. That's not a good, and the hat. It's not a good thing for my Jets. All right, I try to be very unbiased with these games. We're just here to bet. Excuse me, just here to sports bet, but I think as this line came down from 7, I kind of agree with it. I don't really know how you pass up a full touchdown with the way the Patriots have looked. Now, I know on the road it's tougher, but they went into Cincinnati and won a game, right? So I know that the Jets on paper are the better team. The Jets should win this game, but man, kind of tough to lay margin with them the way their offense has looked so far this year. And I know, Rodgers looks okay, nothing crazy. But I think you gotta lean to the dog here and to the under. It's a divisional game on Thursday Night Football, primetime unders, all that stuff. And by the way, 6-point dogs or higher so far this season are perfect. 8-0 against the spread. None of them have not covered, and a bunch of them have won outright. So I would lean to the Pats getting 6.5. I would lean to the under, though I will say the under coming down 39, 38.5. Now it's 37.5. Don't love it at that number. That's right at the point, 2017 you cash, but that's right at the precipice where any little thing in the fourth quarter can push it over. That happened. You saw that with the Seahawks Patriots, where the Seahawks kick a field goal, send it to overtime, game goes over. So I'll lean to the Pats. You're getting 6.5. Nothing crazy, nothing strong. Maybe I'll look at some prop or two, a touchdown scorer, but Patriots plus 6.5 would be my early lean for Thursday Night Football. All right, now we move on to Sunday. The other New York team, or one of the other New York teams, no disrespect to Buffalo, the Giants are in Cleveland getting a full touchdown, plus 6 on the road against the Browns, total set at 38.5. Listen, the Giants just played the Commanders. Our 2-unit play on Sunday was Washington. Thankfully, that cashed, but it was a big sweat, and if the Giants had a kicker, it probably wouldn't have cashed. So here we are now. Giants are 0-2, straight up and against the spread. So that activates a system. If you guys have seen any of my content, you know about the 0-2 against the spread system in Week 3. It's about 60% against the spread. But then you have to simultaneously ask yourself if you want to bet on the Giants. Are the Giants even the type of team that you want to buy low on? I put in my write-up on Sunday, in a video last week about the Panthers, right? The Panthers were a very sharp side in Week 2. I had the Chargers because I don't think market dynamics apply to them. Now, we'll see what happens with Bryce Young now being benched. But when he was the quarterback, it was one of those situations where it was like, nothing really matters with this team. They're just really bad. And that could be what the Giants are. It could be one of these things where it's like, no matter how many systems are there, you just fade them and you make money, right? So I don't know. Spread, I'm kind of on, but I like this total. I don't see how this game goes over. How does this go over unless you get some defensive touchdowns by the Browns? This should be a snooze fest because not only is the Giants offense really bad, the Browns offense is also really bad. And I know the Giants are not great on defense, but they do have some guys up front like, Dexter Lawrence, Thibodeau. They have guys that can get into the backfield and cause some chaos. And Deshaun Watson has been very easily disruptible, obviously, as we've seen through 2 games. So I think they can maybe get in the backfield, give Watson some trouble that way. I see both offenses in this game just having a hard time. No lean on the side for me. Strong lean to the under 38.5 in that game. All right, next up, the Denver Broncos are going to Tampa Bay. They're catching 6.5 points against the Buccaneers. Total is sitting at an even 40. One of the great surprises to me of yesterday wasn't even The Raiders beating the Ravens, obviously that's a big upset. Vikings over 49ers. The Buccaneers beating the Lions was the one I could not fathom. And it's not because the Bucs stink or anything like that, it's just because they had so many injuries on defense, and how did Detroit not exploit them? I was stunned by that. That was the one game where I thought for sure that's the favorite that for sure takes care of business. Can't lie, it's gotten me a little bit worried about Detroit. I don't know. Maybe the pressure when expectations are high, it's different than when expectations are low. What's that quote by my man Rex Ryan? The best place to be is when expectations are high. Not for every team. Some teams can't handle that pressure. So now I'm a little bit worried about Detroit, although I still think they'll be very good this year. But all right, the Broncos catching 6.5 against the Bucs, 2-0 team versus an 0-2 team. Obviously, there's a system there. I kind of lean to Denver in this spot. I think you could maybe get an emotional letdown after 2 huge wins for the Buccaneers. Now they go back home. Broncos come in, lowly team, but they've been playing pretty good defense. The offense has not looked good. They've struggled to put up points, but the defense is keeping them in these games, right? They haven't been blown out of either game. I know they were down to like maybe double digits to the Seahawks, but they were never really blown out in any game this year. I think this is one of these like naggy little teams, like a thorn in your side, where they're never going to be great offensively, but they're going to be in a lot of games because of their defense and because the coach is kind of savvy, and maybe Bo Nix makes a play or two here and there to just keep it close enough. So I would lean here. Nothing strong on this game. My favorite, I think out of the 3 games talked about so far, my favorite would be that under in the Cleveland game, but nothing super strong in this game. I would just give a small lean to the Broncos getting the 6.5. I think maybe that line's a tad bit inflated for the Buccaneers if you consider coming into the season. Obviously, the first 2 games, they've looked a lot better than I expected. Man, the NFC, how about the NFC South, right? The Bucs and the Saints look like juggernauts. When I thought everyone thinks the Falcons are going to win that division, this is why the NFL is so much fun. So lean for me into the Broncos getting 6.5. Nothing strong. Excuse me. All right. On to Pittsburgh. The LA Chargers are in Pittsburgh as a 2-point underdog. And wait till you hear this total, 35.5. When I started recording this video, it was 36.5. So it's ticked down in real time. I'm seeing a 35.5. There's a couple 36s out there, 36.5s as well. But the Chargers getting 2 on the road here in Pittsburgh. And this is a game that I would personally be careful with. You've got 2-0 teams. There is data, guys, historically to say that when 2-0 teams face off, you just take the favorite. I think it's like 58%. The favorite wins and covers. That would tell you to go take Pittsburgh. This spread is small enough to me where Pittsburgh makes sense. Like, I know a lot of times people, whenever you see Mike Tomlin as a dog, yeah, take him. He's got a great ATS record as an underdog, right? But then on the other side, not great at covering larger spreads as favorite. But this is a spread that's small enough to where I think you might be safe. Taking the Steelers if you like them. Honestly, I lean a little bit to the Chargers, but again, this is one of those games that I don't really want to deal with. It's not around a key number. It's sitting at 2. You might as well play money line on either side that you like. And I hate this total at 35.5. I might even lean over. No way are we going to see a 34 in this. That would be insane, right? So maybe this is the floor for the total, the bottom. It's going to bottom out. 35.5. I might lean slightly over. Honestly, nothing gets me too excited about these games. I want the uglier plays. I don't want the 2-0 teams, right? Facing like I want to find some 0-2 teams to bet on, which I'll talk about later. But this is not one of those plays that gets me going either way, to be honest. But tiny lean to the Chargers. If this were somehow to tick up, now it was 2.5, by the way. So maybe some sharps agree with me and have pushed this down. If this were to tick back up 2.5, maybe even possibly by kickoff, you get a 3, or Sunday morning, do you get a 3? Then I'd go. Then I'd fire on it if I get 3 with the Chargers. But where it is right now, it's a pass for me. All right. Excuse me. Another short road underdog. The Packers are in Tennessee getting 2.5 points against the 0-2 Titans. What a weird line, right, guys? I talked about this in a short form video this morning on TikTok and Reels. What a weird line. The Packers just won as a home dog. Same +2.5, +3, whatever you got at home against the Colts with Malik Willis at quarterback. He looked much better than everyone anticipated. This was not the Malik Willis you've seen in the past. He was passing the ball. They were running the ball all over the Colts. Now, I know the Colts and Titans are not the same team, but the Colts are arguably better. So then you watch this line, you're like, what's going on with this line? This is one of those classic, lines that's going to fool everybody, right? The early sharp lean here is to Tennessee. They opened up -1.5. It got all the way up to 3, and then it got bought back down to 3 to 2.5, where it's sitting right now. If I get a 3 here, I like Green Bay. All right, this game is all about the number. Like, some games are the spot, some games are the team, like you just don't believe in a team like Carolina, or maybe you're really high on a team that come into the season, they just haven't met their expectations yet. So some games about the spot, your takes, your early data. This game's all about the number. It's sitting right around a key number. If I get 3, I like Green Bay. If not, I lay off the game. I don't really want to bet on the Titans. Yes, the system is active. It's a 60% ATS system on 0-2, straight up and against the spread teams in week 3. Totally get it. But you have to ask yourself, which one of those teams do you want to bet on, right? The Titans are not a playoff team. They didn't have high expectations coming into this season. Do you want to take a shot on a team like that? Think about last week, a ton of sharps and pros and all social media cappers all on the Panthers. You saw what happened with the Panthers and the Chargers. It gets to a point where you ask yourself, is Will Levis dumb enough to like, can I bet on this guy? Like, is he just too dumb, right? So my early lean was to the Titans, but then when I saw it get to 3, I'm like, whoa, if this gets to 3, I gotta go. I can't lay 3 with the Titans at home. I would take the Packers, who, by the way, also huge coaching edge in this game. Feel like we don't talk enough about coaching. I might do some videos about that, but we don't talk enough about coaching. Man, LaFleur is a great offensive mind, working magic with Malik Willis, who, by the way, is going up against his former team in this game. Is there a revenge angle there? And LaFleur's record, ATS as a dog, impeccable. So if this gets to 3, like I said, if it hangs at 3 and sticks there, I might fire on the Packers. But other than that, nothing else. 36.5. What a ridiculous total. Man, some of these totals are getting insanely low. Where has the offense gone, right, in the NFL? All right. Interesting game here. Houston on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. The Texans are laying 2.5 on the road. Totals at 45.5. This is one of those games where you have to ask yourself, are the 2-0 Minnesota Vikings legit? Are they really this good, or are they overrated? Week 1, they beat up on the Giants. They look great, but everyone comes out of that game saying, well, how can you take it too seriously? It's the Giants, right? So fair. But then in week 2, they say, hold on. They beat up on the 49ers. Now we're talking, right? So now we're talking about a team that you got to sit back and say, man, are they really that good? I'll be completely honest. If you watched my preview video before the season started, the hour-long thing where I went through every single team and their total, I thought the Vikings were going to be dog shit. Straight out, I thought they were going to be awful. I'm stunned. I don't even know who's playing quarterback. You see the helmet behind me. Jets. The hat. Jets. I am a Jets fan. I have no clue who this Sam Darnold is. This is not the guy that we had. Not even close. So, and credit and props. I'm happy for him. And Flores is doing a great job with the defense. But man, you got to ask, are they really this good? Can they keep it up? I think they get a reality check in this game. I like Houston minus the 2.5 here. I think this line should be higher. The Texans have all of the weapons, all of the personnel. It's all about execution with that team. Maybe you worry a little bit about the inexperience of the head coach, but it's all execution. They have everything put in place. I think Houston gives them a little bit of a wake-up call in this game, all right? And minus the 2.5, I think if I showed you that before the season started, you'd say, whoa, what? Right? Like to me, this line is probably a 3.5. So I would lay it with Houston as of right now. Don't have an official play on it, but that's where I would go with this game. All right. The Bears are in Indianapolis, getting 2. Chicago +2 on the road against the Colts. Total sitting at 42.5. This one to me is pretty simple. This is a Colts spot. All right. This is all about the spot, not the number, because we're not at 3. We're on 2 here. Like I talked about Green Bay, that game was all about the number. This is all about the spot. 0-2 team coming back home. If you watched last week's week 2 preview video, when I got to the Colts game, I said, they had drastic home road splits last season, and you're seeing the same thing again this season. They looked great in week 1, scoring all over the Texans, staying in that game with a divisional opponent that's much better than the Packers currently with Malik Willis. Then they go into Lambeau, tougher place to play for sure, granted, and they lose that game, and it was ugly. It did not look good. 3 picks for Anthony Richardson. Did not look good. Now they come back home, much more comfortable spot, a team that they should have success running the ball against. I like the Colts in this spot. The Bears had that fluke. I hate to say fluke. I don't want to. A win is a win, but a fluky-ish win in week 1. They get a fluky-ish, honestly, a fluky-ish cover on Sunday Night Football last night to cover the 6.5. I don't know. So, one offensive touchdown through 2 games. I just not a huge fan of this Bears team. I was low on them coming into the season because I thought there was too much hype around Williams. He hasn't played great so far. I don't think this is necessarily the spot. going on the road against a Colts team that's desperate now for a win. Remember, the Colts should be one of these teams that's right, maybe 8-9, 9-8 competes for a playoff spot. They're going to be there. They need this game. I'll lean Indianapolis here minus the 2 at home. I think this line should be slightly higher, but we might be getting a little bit of recency bias here with the way the Bears have, with the way the Colts looked last week against the Packers. But coming back home should be a big boost for them. Give me Indy minus 2 in that game. All right. We've gone to the Panthers game. All right, fine. Panthers plus 5 on the road versus the Raiders. 40.5 is the total. This was 7, guys, and then Bryce Young was benched. That's a conversation for a different day. I disagree with the move because I wanted to bet against him. No, I'm just kidding. But I disagree with the move because, man, they didn't even give this guy a chance. It's one thing if you have and I know what you're saying, they gave him a chance last year, sure, but you got a new coach in there. How can a coach who's been there for 2 games and has never coached anywhere else, how can he have any rapport with him? How can he have any relationship with him? No, there's no development going on. 2 games? You're not going to make the playoffs with Andy Dalton. What are you gaining by putting him in? I just don't get it. I don't know. To me, kind of, it would rub me the wrong way if a rookie coach came in. I'm in my second year. I'm trying to improve, and then I have basically dog shit weapons around me. I have a terrible offensive line. Now my defense, which remember last year the defense was actually solid. Defense looks horrendous this year. So it's like, what the hell do you want me to do? And we're not even going to work on improving my game anyway. Whole different discussion. Andy Dalton now gets the nod. Line drops 2 points, +7 to +5. Last time he played, yes, he had a good game, and I sure could. Could Andy Dalton go into Vegas and upset the Raiders? Absolutely, especially because of what happened last week with the Raiders winning as the largest dog of Week 2, winning outright as an 8-point dog against the Ravens. So sure, you think about the letdown spot coming back home. Totally makes sense here. I get it, but this line has gone a little bit too low. I maybe would have taken a 6 with Dalton. +5, I gotta just lay off the game. I will tell you this, though. I kind of like the over 40.5. I haven't bet it. Full transparency, I've not bet it. I'll always tell you guys if I actually bet a play or not. But I kind of like this over 40.5. That's the way that I would go in this game because I think Dalton is not going to do, like, maybe Bryce Young's size is really holding him back. I know a lot of people think that because, sight lines and everything. Dalton's going to stand in that pocket and he's going to sling it, all right? That's what he's going to do. He knows how to play quarterback. He's not going to be... he's not going to go out there and be Mahomes. He's not going to be scrambling around like Lamar. He's going to stand in the pocket and he's going to try to get the ball out very quickly, and he is going to throw it. If he sees, he is going to take his shots. So maybe you get one of these, Deontay Johnson, Leggett. These are not terrible receivers, but I think the scheme and the game plan probably needs work. But Dalton is going to pass the ball. All right. So I kind of like that from that aspect. And the Raiders, listen, you saw what the Raiders did last week to the Ravens defense. Why can't they do that to the Panthers defense? They're going to put up some points in this game. So kind of like the over. And by the way, when Bryce Young was starting in this game, 39.5. Then as soon as Dalton gets put in, spread goes down, total goes up, 40.5. But I still like it there. 41 and 42 are slightly key numbers when it comes to totals. 43 is a bigger one, but you're below them. So I like this over 40.5 maybe. I might look at that for this game. We'll see. All right. Now, Dolphins. Here's an interesting one, right? Dolphins getting 5 points on the road in Seattle. Dolphins are 1-1. Seahawks are 2-0. Seahawks with an impressive road win against a tough Patriots team. Man, that was a good game. That was a pretty good game. And they win it in overtime. Good job by the Seahawks. I was not super high on the Seahawks coming into the season, but I like what I've seen from them. So, good, hard defense. Running the football with Walker, Geno Smith, just doing enough, nothing to blow you away. But man, finding Metcalf, that was a big connection on that game against the Pats. Just doing enough to where I kind of like this team. I kind of like what I'm seeing from this team, and I like, the coach, solid hiring, and you could see how much losing McDonald has hurt the Ravens defense. So I like him as the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Getting 5 points here with is it Thompson, Skylar Thompson? No Tua in this game. Obviously, that's why the spread is like this. But man, the Dolphins, you're only hoping this game, if you're the Dolphins, to keep this close, you got to muddy the game up. You got to make it a defensive grind. I don't know if they can do that. I really don't know if they can do that. Seahawks have one of the best home field advantages in football. This is a tough one to call, I'll be honest. Maybe a slight lean to the under because how are the Dolphins going to put up a lot of points in this game? I just don't see it. That offense is so specifically tailored to Tua that when he's out, it's a big detriment to them, really. It's bigger than losing any other. It's not like going from Love to Malik Willis. It's bigger because he runs that offense so well, and it's so fast, and it's so suited to him. And those, like, you can't just throw somebody in there and keep it going. Very tough spot for the Dolphins. Small lean to the Seahawks, small lean to the under. But it's probably one of those games where I stay away from it. I usually like backing the backup quarterback narrative, but because everyone thinks they're so terrible. But I mean, I've seen Scarlett Thompson play, so I don't want too much of this game. But a small lean to the Seahawks and the under. All right, the 49ers. Big divisional game here for the Niners. They got to get back on track. Bad loss on the road in Minnesota, but they're on the road again in LA taking on the Rams, and they're laying 7.5 points. Total sitting at 43.5. Tough to ignore the way they looked on the road against the Vikings. Is this another one of those scenarios where the home road split? The 49ers have been dominant at home with Brock Purdy as the quarterback. Hasn't been the case on the road. This is a big number. Man, this is a big number to lay on the road against a divisional opponent that's 0-2 and also going to be desperate to get this. I got to lean 7.5 with the Rams, man. The Rams fit the system, 0-2 team, straight up and against the spread. At home, as a dog, they're the only one in this spot, right? Because you have the 0-2, you have the Titans, you have the Giants on the road, you have the Panthers on the road. This is the only 0-2 straight up and against spread team as a home dog getting a full touchdown. I know the Cup injury, I get it, but man, a full touchdown in the divisional game. Tough to pass up, I got to be honest. 43.5 is the total. I haven't played this game yet, but I might look at this. The immediate way that I would look at this game is taking the points with LA. Excuse me. You know how these divisional games get, guys, right? Like, we've seen this before. We've done this for many years now. I mean, anytime, basically, unless it's maybe the Panthers with Bryce Young. Anytime you get a 7.5 point dog at home in a divisional game, it's kind of an auto fire almost. I don't know that the Niners are 7.5 points better currently with what we saw last week. So lean here to the 7.5 with the Rams at home, but a little unsure if I'm going to play this game. All right. Here's an interesting one. And I'm telling you right now, you'll probably see an upset in this game, but you got the Lions on the road, -2.5 against the Cardinals. Man, the Cardinals look impressive. The Cardinals should be 2-0 right now. That offense is firing on all cylinders. And if I'm going to reference my preview show again, if you go to my preview show, which I posted before the season started, when I got to Arizona was the first team because I went alphabetically. So as soon as the video starts, I get to Arizona and I said, this offense is going to be pesky all year long. It's going to keep them in games. The defense stinks. The offense is going to score a ton of points, and it's going to keep them in games. And that's exactly what's happening right now. 1-1, two very impressive offensive games, man. Puts you back-to-back for the Cardinals. They stay home for this game. The Lions now have to travel, right, and come to Arizona. This was 3.5. It's now 2.5. The Sharps agree. I missed out on the 3.5. Full transparency, I didn't get it. But I could see the Cardinals winning this game. It's just one of those spots, and I'm disappointed because I was really high on the Lions this year. I have futures on them and everything, and I still think they'll win the division. Also, maybe they just need time to get it together, but I think the Cardinals win this game. I gotta be honest with you. It's dipped below the key number of 3, but I feel like this might just be a money line. Maybe you just throw a half unit on this money line, +125, +130, try to get the hit. I think the Cardinals could win this game. They get to stay at home again. They don't have to travel. The offense just looks so good. Kyler Murray is so evasive, man. You forget. It's easy to forget when guys are hurt what they're actually like. And I feel like people forgot how good that guy was when he was healthy and when he had weapons. They were a very good offense. This is a very, very strong offense. Now, the Lions didn't look great on offense last week against a beat-up defense. They're going to get a pretty bad defense here. You got to do something against this defense. Detroit, you got to put maybe over. It's 52.5. I think it's a little bit too high. Man, anytime you see 50s in this day for the NFL, last 2-3 years, you don't want to avoid those. I'd small lean to the over here, but I think the Cardinals win this game. So I'd go, if I'm playing this game, which I very well may, I would go Cardinals +125 on the money line. All right. Final game on Sunday. There's no Sunday night football game. Is that right? Final game on Sunday, the Ravens in Dallas taking on the Cowboys. To me, this is game of the week. This is an awesome game. Line sitting right now -1 to Baltimore. Totals at 49. Excuse me. The Ravens, shockingly 0-2. Cowboys just got their doors blown off by the Saints, but they're 1-1. They got that nice road win in Cleveland. I was on the wrong side of both of these teams in week 2. I had the Ravens, who didn't cover, and I had the Cowboys, who didn't cover, and they both lost outright. Brutal. All right. And the Ravens were up 10 in the fourth quarter. I'm thinking, oh, great. This is when they pull away. No. That would have been too easy. I have concerns about both of these teams, but I think this is a great spot to back the winless team, Baltimore. Listen, Baltimore is, before the season started, a Super Bowl contender. They were the 1 seed last year. AFC Championship, obviously lost to the eventual Super Bowl champions. This is a team that should be competing for a Super Bowl. That should be one of the best teams in the league, but they're 0-2. And the defense has looked very porous. I think these are the types of spots where I like to buy. Okay, this is the spot where I like to buy the desperation. Cowboys are 1-1. That's way different than being 0-2. If you fall to 0-3, there's numbers on this. Your chances of making the playoffs, they diminish greatly. They fall by a large percentage, all right, over the historical data. The Ravens cannot afford to be 0-3. I think they win this game. And I think also, by the way, the matchup bodes well for them, because I know Dallas has the pass rushers and everything, but the Ravens can kind of beat them up in the trenches. They're not going to beat them the way the Saints did with a ton of points on the board. They're going to beat them by running the ball, slowing the game down, and making it into the exact type of game that Dallas never has liked to play and doesn't want to play. Dallas wants to shoot it out with you. The Saints just did it better than them, and they caught them on a flat day. But they want to score points. The Ravens want to make the game ugly and physical, and I think they can do that on offense, specifically on offense. Listen, I'm not going to tell you I'm super confident in the defense, but I like the Ravens in this game. I think the Ravens win it. That would be the side for me. I think it's a no-brainer. 0-2 team. This is out of the 5 teams that fit the 0-2 system, which is 60%. This is the best team, the Ravens. I think this is the best spot to buy low on them right now. Ravens -1 is where I would go in this game. All right. There are 2 Monday Night Football games. I don't know about you guys. I personally hate when they do this. I know I think this might be the only week, but I hate it because you got 2 games going on at once. It's like prime time. I want to sit down. I just want to watch a game, right? So anyway, you got the Jags going up against the Bills. The Jaguars are getting 5.5 points on the road. Total sitting at 45.5. I think, again, this is one of those plays. The Jags did cover in week 1, so they're not 0-2 against the spread, but they are 0-2 straight up. But man, I like what I've seen from the Bills. I was high on them coming into this year. They're 2-0. Aside from the week 1 hiccup, they took care of business against Miami. I like the way the offense looks. I love how they're using James Cook. Could I see this being a field goal game? Sure. Maybe it leans to the Jaguars, but I don't really love anything on this game. I would lean slightly here to the under 45.5. I think that could be a solid play. It's a primetime game. And I think the Jaguars defense is good enough to kind of just limit the Bills just a little bit. But I don't know. Nothing jumps out at me at this game, honestly. I think the spread's just right around okay, right around where I'd put it. Maybe it's a little bit inflated. Maybe I'd have this at 5, it looks like, with my numbers, but nothing that I love in this game, to be honest. Now, the next game, the next game on Monday Night Football, which is the Commanders on the road in Cincinnati. They're getting 8 points now. This was a 7-point spread just a day ago. So Commanders +8, totals 48.5. Ooh, that's a high total for a primetime game, 48.5. The Commanders' defense is atrocious. They were my 2-unit play on Sunday, and we were lucky to catch. We were fortunate to cash it, but they didn't look good. That defense is so bad. The Bengals just played the Bengals played so well against the Chiefs, guys. They should have won that game. They really should have. That is a really tough loss, and I just think I don't see how Washington stays in this game. I know that the first 2 weeks of the season, the largest dogs have won outright. So it's like, oh, whoa, deja vu. Here's the largest dog. It's the Bengals, and they did the same thing in week 1. But I don't think the Commanders are not the Patriots, man. The Commanders are really bad defense. I can see the Bengals just taking out their frustration in this game, specifically on offense. Just put up a ton of points. Defense gets some picks off of Jaden Daniels. Trey Hendrickson goes nuts in the backfield. I could see this being a blowout. I would currently lean to 8, but I wouldn't play this at anything above 9. If this gets above 9, that's my spot for me where I say no, thank you. But lean to the Bengals -8 in that final game. All right. That's week 3, guys. All right. Let me know down in the comments what games you're looking at. Again, in the description, I'll put options for whoever's interested in getting full access to our full NFL and college football seasons going forward. Basketball, NBA, college hoops. We went on a great college hoops run in the tournament last year. All that will be down there in the description. But let me know in the comments which games you like and what games you're looking forward to in week 3. And I'll be back next week to look at week 4. Thanks, guys. It's good.